What if I tell you that your potential is actually limitless? That everything that you have actually inherited as far as your DNA is concerned could be re-engineered to give you a life of infinite possibilities. My friend, sky's the limit. As a matter of fact, there is no sky when it comes to what you can achieve. Alright? In this video, we're going to deep dive when it comes to how to re-engineer your potential. And we're going to be looking at this from three different perspectives: self-reinvention, epigenetics, and of course the lens of history. And if you stay with me until the very end, I'm going to share with you something really key. The meaning of the new logos or mountain of inspiration. You don't want to miss this one. Alright? Dimitri, let's get right into it. In 1809, a gentleman in France by the name of Jean Baptiste de Lamarck wrote a book that came to make a lot of noise in the circles of science, to the point where even by the time this gentleman passed away, people were making fun of him. They said, "My goodness, look at this guy walking by. Ho, ho, ho. De Lamarck, quite a crazy man." To the point where there was even a movement that was initiated in certain circles that used to be known as Lamarckism, which simply meant that yes, this gentleman came up with some concept that was so far-fetched when it comes to the world of science that people never took him seriously. Some of the things that he said I can actually share with you. And he said that yes, whatever we inherited from our forefathers could be stretched in the sense that I could be making certain decisions or making certain changes to actually stretch myself and become bigger than what I received from my forefathers. That's what he said. And then he went on to give an example that brought a huge amount of ridicule upon himself. He says, look at the giraffes. The giraffes are such that with each passing generation, the need to reach higher to find food is causing the necks to stretch and become much longer. And that's the reason why you see all these giraffes with necks that keep growing, because they are simply need to reach higher to find food. People start saying, "Oh my goodness, De Lamarck, what have you been smoking? What have you been drinking?" Until he passed away, nobody really took him seriously. And unfortunately for him, by the time Charles Darwin published his book, basically nobody could take De Lamarck very seriously. Until 1999. In 1999, two professors, one by the name of Whitelaw and the other by the name of Daniel Morgan, came up with a few different conclusions after conducting a few different researches. And one of them was completely a major breakthrough that the world was not actually, did not see coming. What was it? They took a group of mice in a controlled environment and they started feeding them certain type of food. And they realized after a while that the color, the original color, again please stay with me, the original color of the fur was actually changed over time, simply because of the type of food that these mice were being fed. That's the first change. And the change in the color, the change in the texture of the fur could also be maintained long after the diet had been changed. So with this, they realized that, my goodness, some of the things that De Lamarck was saying back in 1809 were actually true. That this man was all not that crazy. The giraffe example was a bit far-fetched, but it is indeed possible that in the world of epigenetics that we can modify the code within our DNA by the choices that we make. The choices that we make can influence the expression of our genes. And as these genes now interact with the environment, these genes are now going to be passed on to the next generation. And even if we change whatever we cause these changes, this mutation, these changes can actually stay. And that was a major breakthrough to simply say that yes, even when it comes to genetics, what used to be seen as fixed was not actually that fixed. You can change basically the expression of the DNA within you by the choices that you make on a daily basis. What you choose to consume, not just food, but also information, what you choose to focus on. Basically, it went on to magnify the very thing that people say that yes, what you choose to focus on, you magnify. You are indeed what you eat, because what you eat has the ability to modify the expression of your DNA. And that was a major breakthrough that took place in 1999, long after de Lamarck had already left his plane called Earth, and long after people had made fun of him in many different directions from many different circles. That was just when it comes to the world of epigenetics. Let me now go to the world of history to give you two key examples that can also reinforce the fact that yes, whatever you choose to focus on, you magnify, number one, and what you consume has the ability to now change the expression of whatever you're carrying. So whatever you have received from your forefathers, from your foremothers, is not a fixed code of information that cannot be changed. You are not bound by what you receive. You can actually change that. Let me give you two examples. In 1925, first of all, in Mexico, more specifically, September 17, 1925, a young girl was riding on a bus with her friend, and she was already part of the medical school. After having stayed home for a long time and finally graduated to be accepted into this medical school, this was a major breakthrough. Unfortunately for her, an accident took place. Long story to make short, she found herself literally impaled by one of the rails of the bus, and that would basically puncture through, yes, the midsection. And by the time they were able to retrieve her body and bring her to the hospital, she found herself now bedridden for quite a long time. And the damage was such that the doctor simply said to her, young girl, you are no longer going to be able to go back to medical school, because the number of hours you need to stand on your feet in order for you to follow what the teacher is saying are no longer going to be a possibility for you. So basically, you can put a big X mark as far as medical school is concerned. She was lying there, and she said to herself, I have now two choices. I can look at this mirror that's giving me a picture of who I have become, and I can start crying. Or I can decide to do something completely different with the image I'm getting. So she said to herself right then and there, Dad, Mom, don't worry about it. As a matter of fact, just bring me now a canvas and some pencil and some brushes, and I'm going to do something completely different. Instead of looking at the picture of myself and start crying, I'm going to start looking at the picture of myself and start painting a portrait of myself, because I believe I simply need to pivot and become something completely different. And that's what she did. And before you know it, she was making history as one of the most acclaimed artists out of Mexico. Her name, Frida Kahlo. Example number one. Example number two, in 1928, in Europe, more specifically in France, a young artist by the name of Django Reinhardt was enjoying a quite lovely career as a jazz musician, local jazz musician in Paris, until one day he goes back to his home, makeshift home, and one of the candles that his wife at the time was using to make some jewelry that she was selling fell, and next thing you know, the whole place was actually engulfed in fire. And before you know it, Django Reinhardt is now taken to the hospital. Same as Frida Kahlo, now he's bedridden. And the news for him is that, yes, you know what, young man, you cannot go back to playing the instrument the way that you used to play. But unlike Frida Kahlo, he looked at the doctor, he heard what he said. He said, gentlemen, I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree. I'm going to stay for as long as it takes for me to stay. But as far as my body is concerned, yes, I have 5 fingers, And out of the 5 fingers, I need 4 fingers when it comes to using my instrument properly. And 2 of them are now completely useless. But for the other 2 remaining, I'm going to find a way to make it work. I'm going to stretch myself to make these 2 fingers do the job of the other 2 fingers. So these 2 fingers are going to work for basically for my whole hand. And guess what? He practiced, he mastered his craft, and by the time he passed away, this gentleman became one of the most amazing musicians as far as the world of guitar is concerned, more specifically jazz music, because it took this thing to a different level. These 2 examples of Django Reinhardt and Frida Kahlo simply show us one thing. You don't look at the world as the world is. You look at the world as you want to see yourself. If you change how you choose to see yourself, how you choose to perceive yourself, you're going to change now how the environment is going to start responding to you. And whatever you are carrying as genes, the expression of the genes within your DNA are now going to be multiplied by the interaction with the environment in which you find yourself. And that is simply key. And what you do, my friend, you have the first key to something key when it comes to your potential. You're going to start being a different person. You're going to start doing different things. And you're going to start having a different reality. And that's just basically how, slowly but surely, you're going to now start re-engineering your potential. And rise to a place where you're going to come and see that indeed the possibilities are endless. Now, back to our logo. What does this logo mean exactly? M and the sign behind it. M stands for mountain, and the letter or the sign beside is simply the sign of infinity. I believe that your potential is infinite. I believe that you standing basically in a place where you can simply re-engineer the possibilities by how you choose to look at yourself. And once you change how you look at yourself, you're going to start behaving differently. And your behavior is going to cause you to start reaping or harvesting a different kind of reality. I'm so passionate when it comes to helping people or simply re-engineer the potential in order for them to re-engineer themselves and start behaving differently and ultimately amazing themselves by what they're going to be able to achieve. This is what Mountain of Inspiration, this new logo, stands for. Alright? If you enjoyed this video and if you enjoy our videos, I'm going to ask you to simply start watching this playlist and watch more videos, become more familiar with our content until next week, where we're going to simply drop a few things. A couple of new ebooks that are going to become available and a couple of courses that you can actually take when it comes to helping you take you from where you are right now all the way to the next level by simply helping you re-engineer your potential. Alright? Much love, everyone. I'm out. Mountain of Inspiration. Take good care. The best is yet to come.